No, not really. Okay, so let's close up our laptops, please. Get our notes out. And as we start, we looked at, again, the downfall of the Persian Empire. We will look at, again, for the most part, all of our civilizations and how they collapse. That will be a main topic for us throughout this course, that it is important to note that for the most part, they all collapse for very much the same reasons. The kings are isolated. They need more stuff. They start taxing people. The taxes make people less loyal, and then there will be struggles over who gets to inherit the throne. All right, so now we're going to move to our next group of people. They get one slide only, and the only reason they get one slide only is they are the first ones to use iron. So these are the Hittites, and the Hittites will be up and around modern-day Turkey, better known as Asia Minor. The Hittite Empire is created in Western Asia. It will threaten the Egyptians at many points. But the only reason we talk about the Hittites is they are the first ones to make use of iron. Now, our Assyrians take that and make that part of their military and their strength. But the first ones to use, so please don't get confused on our test, because that question will be there. Who's the first Indo-Europeans to make use of iron? It's the Hittites, not the Assyrians. The Assyrians just take it and make it into the use of military. It allows them to make really, really strong weapons. And then the other thing I always like to include is, again, the continuation. Oh, what the heck? What is talking? Do you guys hear that talking? I don't know what that was. Okay, let's close our laptop. Thank you. So the other reason I like to put information about the Hittites is this is an empire destroyed by the Sea People. We do not know who they are. The Sea People are going to destroy the Hittites. The Sea People are going to destroy the Egyptians. We do not know who they are, and we don't know where they came from, which again is another mystery, just waiting for somebody to solve. Some bright historian that sat through Mrs. Norris's class and goes on to establish themselves as awesome historians when they find out who destroyed the Sea People. Number one, they are not aliens. They are not aliens, okay? Although now that the federal government has kind of said aliens exist, I kind of have to change my whole pattern of this. What? They
federal government said
Wait, didn't the Romans come into Egypt for a while?
Romans do.
Okay, so what if the Romans?
No, they're not. They're not. You can't solve it that easily. Yes, Drew.
Isn't there like a lost city of Atlantis or something?
Do what?
Isn't there like a lost city of Atlantis or something?
The lost city of Atlantis, that's
What if
not
it's
real.
people that used to live there?
That's not real. The lost city of Atlantis is not real, but that would be a good guess. All right. Our last look at our groups of people will be the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians are really incredibly important. They live in the area known today as Palestine, so in and around Israel, after the downfall of the Hittites and the Egyptians to these Sea People. Phoenicians began to assert their power. This is why we need to know the Phoenicians. Actually, we need to know a lot. But the Phoenicians will assert their power economically. And that is something that we have not looked at all in this short time that we have been together, is that people becoming powerful economically. That economic strength is more viable. It lasts longer. It's harder to take away the military power. And the Phoenicians did this because they controlled the Mediterranean Sea. And they traded with all these other different groups of people. So they weren't a threat militarily, so they could move around all these different groups. They traded with the Hittites, they traded with the Egyptians, they traded with the Sumerians. That was my ice maker. Okay. They traded with the with the Hittites, Sumerians, Assyrians, they traded with everyone, and everyone allowed them to move like that because they were not a threat militarily. And the way that they were able to trade was these ships, and they were great sailors. So they are going to just kind of sit in and around. They are home ported sometimes in Carthage, sometimes in Palestine, but they're just going to sail around that Mediterranean Sea. The second part of why these Hittites are so important to us is they translated stuff for us. So the goods they traded are purple dye, glass, and cedar lumber. Those are the things that were very desirable. Purple dye for a couple of reasons. One, purple was a color that was excluded from everyone except royalty. So only purple was allowed to be worn by certain people. And purple dye is really, really hard to make. It's incredibly hard to get a deep, rich purple. Glass, again, just because of the way that you make glass with sand heated to a really high heat. And then again, we're in a desert, so lumber is definitely very precious. One of the most famous Phoenician colonies will be Carthage, and we'll talk about Carthage again when we get to Rome. And one of the reasons that we are most indebted to these Phoenicians, and if you haven't already on the other slide, maybe figured out Phoenicians, phonics, that's where we get our alphabet from. Our alphabet based on 22 letters, although we know we have 26, what they left out was a lot of vowel sounds, comes from the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians also are where we will get this thing in a little bit called the Rosetta Stone, which is a real thing, not just a language thing. It was a real object because the Phoenicians had to trade with everyone. So they needed to know everyone's language. And so in order to do that, they had to make sure that they had some way of interacting with these people so they could trade legally, or not trade on the up and up and not being swindled or taken advantage of because they didn't know the language. And so they carved this language on this big, giant black stone called the Rosetta Stone, which we will eventually find during the Napoleonic Age. Prior to that, when we find all these Egyptians, hieroglyphics, and all those pictures, we just think they're pictures. We have no idea that those pictures mean words, and we have the Phoenicians to thank for that. This slide is out of order because as you're trying to do your mind map about Persia and the religion, you did not have it. Do you guys have this slide somewhere? Go back to Persia. Nowhere do you have this slide? Okay. So somewhere in your notes, you might want to keep and write some of these things down. Is there any blank white paper anywhere in your notes? Because you don't have information about, actually, I would put it in around Persia. Find somewhere around Persia where you can write this, because this is the Persian religion. So when you were trying to do your mind map of Persia, I am so surprised I got no emails about what's the religion of Persia. Did you guys not do that part? Or did you look it up?
I thought that they're two people.
You looked it up. Did you get Zoroastrianism? Okay. This is what Persian, and I don't know how this slide got out of order and why you don't have it. So this Zoroastrianism is unique because it happens in Persia, believes in only one God. Really, that's all you need to write.
What did you say?
What you need to write on this slide for yourself is the first and the second bullet point, only believed in one God. And then the last one, first ideas of heaven and hell. All that other stuff in the middle, you don't need that. So when you're writing your notes, established in Persia, believed in only one God, and the first ideas of heaven and hell. This is a different kind of religion. This is kind of, sort of, maybe like a first kind of cult, right? This guy his name is Zoroaster, and he creates this religion that's different and separate than everything else. Believed in only one God. And again, these people are not going to be a major part of the Persian empire, and these first ideas of heaven and hell, that there's a good place to go to and a bad place to go to. When we study the Egyptians don't believe in, and for the most part, for a long period of time, we don't believe that there's a bad place you go to. You just transition to another life. And so there isn't any emphasis placed on being such a good person in your current life, because the next life you just move on to the next place. Indian folklore calls it the happy hunting ground. You just move on to the next place, which is why people are buried with objects, because when you move to that next place, you need objects. So, all right, questions about that? Sorry, I need to fix those. I always tell myself this, and I never do. All right, questions about any of that? Our next topic that we will begin on Monday will move us into the Egyptians. And our last assignment dealing with the Mesopotamia area is, okay, I gotta get rid of this. Is on Canvas, and please make sure you look up here. Wait, don't open yet until, so I can get this. Shoot. That's not what I wanted to do. This thing gets so big.
Not shoot around. Hey, shoot around. This is hardcore gameplay. No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding at all.
All right, people. Our assignment is on Thursday, World History, Ancient Worlds, Instagram selfie. So click link below. Please make sure, and a couple people have had this problem, and this will cause you not to be able to submit the assignment. So please make sure you do that. Anytime you need to access this assignment after you start it, you have to keep going back through Canvas and loading it this way. All right, so click the link, takes us into the assignment. And okay, so this is huge. Let's see if I can get this in one. Ancient World Selfie, an Instagram post. As you may know, I always think everybody knows Instagram, but every now and then there's people that don't. So as you may know, Instagram is a social media app that allows people to share their lives with a select group of people. In this assignment, you will be posting as your choice of one of the leaders we have studied, Hammurabi, Cyrus, Darius. You can pick an Assyrian king. You can name him whatever you want. A Hittite leader, if you want to choose to be one of those. Pick one of those groups of, or one of those people to be. Draw a selfie, and again, that's in quotations, with important background pictures and props to send to your followers. Be creative. Then fill in all of the required responses based on your leader. Your picture must be school appropriate, make historical sense, and reflect the leader that you have chosen. Your written responses should completely address all parts of the prompt. So here, make sure you put your name of your person up here. So if you're going to actually be Hammurabi, Cyrus, or Darius, put that there. If you're just going to be an Assyrian king, just write Assyrian king. You don't have to come up with a name. You can find one if you want, but you don't have to, and it's not required. Or if you want to be a Hittite leader. So in here is where you'll put your selfie. Now, here's a couple ways you could do that. Because you've got your Chromebook, those of you that are artistic, you can actually draw something on there. This should not just be a picture of someone's face. It should be a selfie, because down here, you're going to have to describe stuff that makes who that person is, okay? So make sure you're taking the selfie with something, right? You're taking it with, if you're Hammurabi, you've got your Hammurabi's code in the background, something of that nature. Then on this side, describe 3 people that would have liked the photo and why. You do not have to come up with a name of a person, but for instance, I'm going to use not one of those people, but I'm going to pretend and I'm going to be Cleopatra. So one of the people that would have liked my photo would have been the Romans, because I was trying to work with the Romans to create a strong alliance between Egypt and Rome. Does that make sense? And then you have to describe what the person is doing when the picture is taken. Post should reflect something that you've learned. Like, for instance, I just gave away Hammurabi with his code. And then you've got to give me 3 hashtags. Hashtags are also used so people can search and find photos with the same hashtag. For example, a person who searches energetic would find photos of energetic people. Hashtag never me, right? You would never find me hashtagging anything energetic, because that is not me. I don't do that. So create 3 hashtag character traits for the king and use supporting evidence that the king had those traits by providing examples. So for instance, if you want to use the Assyrian king, and you would put like a book in the background, hashtag reader. Why? Because they've got a library. Does that make sense? Everybody got that? So in this spot right here, for those of you that can't draw, that would be me, you're going to use and need to use copy and paste things into that square, right? You're going to find, like for instance with me, the book. I would find a book. Try when you're looking for a book to be as close to that time period. So when you're searching, like search ancient book or old fashioned book. And then what you need to do, because you guys have always had iPads and you've never had to actually save images, and always just automatically save to your camera roll. So what you're going to need to do, and those of you that have ever used anything besides an iPad, you're going to need to download the image. You're going to have to save the image as, or download image. It'll automatically put it and save it. And then whenever you go to insert, it'll open up your downloads file, find the file, save it. You might want to make sure that when you're downloading it, it usually gives you an opportunity to name it, give it some kind of name, or else you'll just get lots of downloads that say JPEG image or download image. Yes? Do what? No, you do not. No, I would never be able to do that. I always throw that out because there are people that are really good with this technology and can really take that stylus and draw all kinds of things. It would really be simpler, because you don't have to go search for images and download images and upload images. In Cami, for those of you that haven't yet used a lot of these features, if I can get this over. Here's all the drawing things. I can't move that up. But over here, there are, hang on. Over here, there are ways to drop in images, and it's just covered up because I can't stop that because that's my recording thing. Okay, so we'll work on this today, and tomorrow it's due tomorrow at 11:59. All right, questions, anyone? None of those people you pick, I think, are easier than the other. I actually kind of think it would be easy to be a miscellaneous Hittite or a miscellaneous Assyrian person, because you don't have to be so particular. But Darius, Cyrus, or Hammurabi. Okay? Anybody have questions? All right. Thank you for listening.